everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's on the Tube, or welcome back if this is your third Doom Patrol Season 2 episode review. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're all safe. Doing yeah, can't speak English. Also, I hope you enjoyed the new intro. Still new. I mean, after 100 episodes of not having an intro, I decided, because George was making fun of me in our last episode, which was our 100th episode. Go check that out on youtube.com/ActionX, hopefully. He joked around like I barely put any work to the show, so there you go. I made a whole intro that should satisfy George for at least 100 episodes until the next intro or the next big improvement I made. Who knows? But it's crazy how, like, before I get started on the review, it's crazy how, like, we're now starting, hopefully, the next 100 reviews. And hopefully they'll be better than ever. Hopefully they'll be greater. We'll be seeing some more cool stuff, even though currently, right now, the TV season market has been delayed till next year. So what am I going to do? We'll figure it out. Okay, enough talking about me. Let's talk about the Doom Patrol. I think I finally caught up to the original 3 episodes that aired at the end of June, and we're almost to the end of July, and I think they released up to episode 6, so I'm still far behind. I mean, I would have done a double load this week, but with the 100 episode and all, I had to make time in the schedule, so I couldn't do 2 episodes. Hopefully next week we will be doing 2 episodes, and then by that point we will be caught up. Hopefully right before the season ends, so that'll be hilarious. But anyway, so let's get down to it. So this week we are doing Pain Patrol. That's the name of the episode for this week. And coming off, like, it's kind of weird how, like, the first 3 episodes kind of work as a season premiere, even though technically, like, even though there was only 9 episodes this season, / they already busted a third of it in, like, the first week. This still kind of worked as, like, a singular flow of, like, if this was like a 90-minute special just to, like, begin the season, it would have worked perfectly. Well, not perfectly, it would have worked fairly well. This episode did continue seamlessly where the last episode left off, and also, I don't know, like, it's weird to say because, like, I still love Doom Patrol. I still think it has much more deeper meanings with its storytelling, but I'm gonna say it honestly, like, the villain for this week was kind of like, meh, cool, creepy, but I seen better. I mean, I know it was supposed to be a one-off villain, but meh. I mean, I'm not calling the episode meh. I'm just saying that one aspect of the episode was like meh. And okay, rules of 3. I'll stop. But I still enjoyed the episode. I still found myself enjoying it. And yeah, let's get through the butchered recap and see what we can figure out together. So we begin with. Where do we begin? I want to say we start. Oh, no. So we start in a flashback where Niles is a kid. So back in the late 19th century in Whitechapel, England, I believe that is. Whitechapel, London. I don't know. My locations on my world map is very, very horrible, to be honest with you. And I just made a very terrible mistake. I did not move my tea closer to me, so I'm going to be not burning off this food I just ate before the show for a while. Anyway, so we're in Whitechapel. We're kind of seeing Niles as kind of like a little bit of a troublemaker when he was a youth, pickpocketing from officers to probably make a quick buck or 2. So while he had just recently achieved his latest scheme, and he got like a pocket watch from one of the officers, he hears this screaming from a distance and this fog coming in, and it's a woman who is very much near death. She has been stabbed multiple times, but she manages to get enough strength to at least get somewhat close to Niles before she collapsed. And this mysterious partially silver-faced, menacing-looking dude comes up to them, and, you know, he looks at Niles. It's like making this creepy voice. Niles thinks, "Oh, are you Jack the Ripper?" I'm sorry for my horrible UK accent. I'm sorry. But he's like, "Oh, kid," and he just starts laughing like maniacally as he just he just stabs the woman again one last time, and a bunch of butterflies come out of her. It's like, oh shit! If we remember from last week, the butterflies swarmed Larry, or Negative Man, as I was calling him in the first 2 reviews, and I was like, oh shit, this is the guy. So then we cut to present day, where I don't know where we start off in present day. It's either okay, fine, we'll just start off with the most obvious connection. We see Larry being held captive somewhere by this, this mysterious person. He's chained up by his actual skin, which is like, ugh, that's gross. And he's over these like weird bodies that kind of look like cocoons for some reason. So, but Larry's in pain, and also he starts noticing his bandages start coming off from his arms, which is usually protecting him from everything around him. So he's extremely worried right now, but no one knows where the hell he is. So we cut to back to the Doom Patrol manor, to the manor, where picking up where we saw last week, where Dorothy was asking Rita how to cook. She actually was actually making French toast for Niles, and I don't know. I can't tell if like Niles was like playing the nice dad approach, like, oh, this food's horrible, but I gotta pretend it's good because so she doesn't get mad or something, or if it's actually really good. I honestly can't tell. Like Niles is like, the thing about Timothy Dalton is that he's such a good actor that even his character is a good actor. Like I can't tell if he's actually lying or actually telling the truth. But then Cliff comes in, obviously pissed off as always he is, and Niles tells Rita and Dorothy to leave the room while he goes talk to Cliff. Cliff is not having it. He's just like heading up to here with Niles, and he says, "You know what? Fuck this. I'm leaving. I'm gonna bounce." And he just takes Jane, who's just willing. Like it's weird how like last week Jane's like, "Oh, I want to stay," and then this week she's like, "Deuces, let's go." So they're off. They're heading off in the bus. Niles is left alone with Rita and Dorothy. However, while Niles is with Dorothy, he gets this letter from Red Jack, the character we saw at the beginning of the episode. Turns out that they have received an invitation from him to come to his house for a little dinner or something. Of course, this is obviously for Rita. She felt like, oh, this is nothing. This is just like some creepy stuff. But then they find that one of the things that that was sent in the letter was one of Larry's bandages. So they were like, oh fuck, he has Larry. Sorry about that. We need to go get him. But this guy's extremely powerful. He's extremely threatening. And he tells Rita that if anything goes wrong during this mission, follow the butterflies. What the heck does that mean? I don't really know. But so they head out the door. They leave Dorothy behind. And that's the thing that I'm just very curious. Like, they were just willing to leave Dorothy behind. Like, I know Larry's life is at stake, but Dorothy's still like a little girl. I mean, you really can't be leaving her alone with her own imagination. So then Niles and Rita head off with the butterflies to his land, but we'll cut to them in a while bit. So apparently Cliff and Jane are heading off to Florida for no apparent reason whatsoever. Cliff is trying to like drop his emotional bombshells on Jane, but Jane is initially like, yeah, and then she's like, so she passes out. But it turns out, meanwhile, in the underground, her psychological like area in her mind, her doppelgangers are staging an intervention from her to kind of like stop helping the Doom Patrol out. They gotta stop being this good guy, stop trying to do these crazy things that will affect them, the overall personas. And they're all each like going one by one, saying like why they have these problems with Jane. And it's actually a pretty amusing scene to kind of see the actual personas played by the actual characters, the actual actors, before that, like, compared to like Gina. Not Gina. What's the name? Diana Rodriguez. I'm actually playing. Is that the name? No, Diana Guerrero. I'm sorry. My mind's like, I'm tired. I came from a long day at work. I'm sorry. Diana Guerrero, instead of her playing all these characters. So it was actually very interesting. But in actuality, meanwhile, back on the surface, Cliff is heading up to Florida to finally meet his daughter, which we did see briefly last season during the. I think Cliff was doing something. He went to go to this town, to the bar, and then he finds. Oh no, it was the death of his friend, who his daughter saw him as a father figure growing up. So there you go. So he's there to kind of like freely admit to her, like, hey, I am your father. Let's catch up, and so to speak. So he shows up on the day of her baby shower. That's right. Cliff's going to be a grandpa, but his daughter is not entirely sold, obviously, that he's the father, since, well, if we really think about it, Cliff hasn't been in her life in many, 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 many years. Secondly, he also, is a robot. And three, I don't even think she would even remember what her dad sounded like. So she's obviously creeped out by the whole thing, and, she doesn't immediately she doesn't accept Cliff into her house. He's like, hey, can you just leave? Like, I got a baby shower. I got people coming over here in, like, the next couple of minutes, anytime now, so can you go? But Cliff obviously doesn't take that too well. Meanwhile, Vic is still trying to attend this group therapy session. And he immediately enters and he sees no one's there, and he's confused by it. And then the woman that he was talking to in the last episode, the veteran, is there, and she's telling him like, "Oh, we had this this party at a bar last night, so everyone's basically home hungover." And Vic's like, "Well, why wasn't I invited?" And then it was like kind of confusing because like I thought it was going to start that typical like, "Oh, we don't like you, so we didn't invite you" type argument. But no, it turns out she just wanted him alone so they can have sex. But then there was like an actual weird, like this was kind of like another weird like, okay, goddamn, are we gonna really see this weird ass sex scene for Cyborg? Like I don't think I've ever seen this happen. Such I've always been curious. I'm gonna be completely honest. Like, how is this going to be physically possible? Then again, I do remember that. Well, technically, this cyborg is different from the other cyborgs we've seen in media. So while the other cyborgs have been fully encased in their the robotic parts, this cyborg has an entirely like he still has some humanoid well, not humanoid. He still has some human parts, but not all of them. But there was actually a pretty sweet scene where while they were kind of undressing, Vic got scared that he didn't want her to see his chest, like the main piece of his cybernetics. But she understood that, but she decides to kind of like lead him along and kind of give him her trust. That she takes off her clothes first, and you see all these scars from her time during battle, and Vic is amazed by it. I mean, she can't feel anything in those parts since I'm pretty sure the nerves, the sensation in those parts have long been destroyed. But for Vic, he doesn't look at her like that. He looks at her as a beautiful woman, and he gets comfortable enough for him to take off his own shirt, having her touch his chest, and then for them to proceed forward. And then I think from there, I think this is where we cut back to Niles and Rita. Yeah, so they head into the manor, but they split off. Rita goes to look for Larry, as Niles goes for Red Jack. And then also we get a flashback sequence again with Larry, where we see Larry's first days at the Crane Manor, moving in with Niles and Rita back in the 60s. At first, Niles is like very timid. He's very shy. He's not very much comfortable with anyone. He goes to his room, which was like redecorations and stuff like that, because like it just looks like another metal cage except with a view of the outside. He goes in and sees that Niles has prepared him the bandages we know and love, his typical costume of choice that is all meant to design to help him not use this giant ass radiation suit that he's been wearing for many years. So Larry puts on the suit, puts on the bandages, he puts on the new clothes, and we get to see him and Rita kind of start forming their friendship, because these two have been alone for so long, besides with Niles, and he's getting this opportunity to like actually build a commodity with someone else, and it's actually very sweet, like, you know, because it's not often that I see in television that like we see a male and a female just be friends. It's usually like, oh, they gotta be a couple or they gotta be enemies, stuff like that. No, these guys are just actually good friends, and getting to see the origins of their friendship and getting to see them grow up, and then understanding like why it's Rita going to save Larry and not Niles or something like that. But meanwhile, Niles is having a dinner with Red Jack. Well, he enters the room while Red Jack is literally like squishing the eyes out of one of his guards or victims, and it's like, wow, this guy is brutal as F. I was trying not to curse there, I'm sorry. So Niles goes along for the dinner, and then we cut back to... Yeah, I'm out of order here, I'm sorry. We cut back to Florida, where Cliff is waiting by the house, but the police show up, and then Cliff just starts talking about his entire story, about his life, and the police officer just sitting there is like, yeah, there's nothing we can do. We can't bring this guy in. We just gotta sit... We're gonna hope that he tires himself out. Meanwhile, back in the underground, Jane is still being intervened by her personas. Eventually, she just tells them that, I'm the number one, I'm in charge here, y'all are like, you know, inhabiting my body, but I'm still the primary over here. Well, as it gets dark and Cliff is starting to get really tired of this BS, and he's like waiting for like the the go ahead to get into this house, Jane kind of interrupts him, and it's like, "Hey, look over there. Just look at them." And he sees his daughter crying because like this is supposed to be her special day, and he's ruining it. Because like it was not in the plans today to reunite with your long dead dad in a robot body. Today that was not on the agenda. Her agenda was to have this gender reveal party, to be able to be with her friends, to celebrate this momentous occasion. And here's Cliff just barging in and just... I understand for Cliff, like, he just wants to be a dad again. He wants to make up for lost time. I get that. But this is just something that's, like, extremely out of the ordinary. And he has to understand that his daughter also has to be wanting to accept him as well. And if she doesn't want to, then, you know, at least at this current point, then Cliff has to respect that. And thankfully he does. And he and Jane leave back for home, presumably. So back in the manor, no, not back at Red Jack's manor, which I'm pretty sure is just the Doom Patrol manor, like painted red or something. That's what my assumption is. While they're having dinner, Red Jack decides to play some tricks on Niles and kind of like makes him pretend he's Robot Man or something. But meanwhile, he's just playing a mind trick on him, similar to Loki. If I have to make that connection. Jesus Christ, how the hell did I cut myself again? And then Red Jack does, I think, one of the most creepiest things I've ever seen on TV. He starts making them grow butterfly wings. And I am, like, in complete shock, because, like, on the surface, the CGI on this is, like, it's very noticeable. Like, I can clearly see where the CGI begins and the actors are. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not meaning to insult the VFX crew. I think they did a phenomenal job making the wings look so realistic. I just didn't. I could tell like this is definitely CG. Like this was freaking obvious, but it was also like very painful to see that moment. So while Niles and Larry are like shocked and pain, Rita's the only one who like she has to like use all of her power to like free Larry, and then meanwhile while she does manage to free Larry, Niles manages to get close enough to Red Jack to kind of surprise attack him and stab him in the heart. Well, stab him in general. And then that kind of breaks the power. And then as he's monologuing to his death, Niles does the smartest thing. And he stabs him again. And I'm like, thank you, Niles. Thank you. You are such a wise man. Sometimes a dumb man, but a wise man. And then we cut... Yeah, so after that, I completely forgot. There's a scene with Vic. So we cut to Vic and the woman after their sex. They're kind of like cuddling very well. Everything seems to be fine. Vic says some couple of accidental things to kind of like, you know, perceive her wrong, and then there's this tense moment between them after the fact. And then we cut to a little bit later where Vic is waiting for her for like I think their first official date, or just a date in general at a diner, and he gets an email from her that kind of showcases that she has not had a pretty life. Like she's sadly been through a lot, and she's done some pretty crazy stuff. And this was kind of like a test I saw as Vic saw this, and he leaves the diner, and then she sees him like leaving instead of waiting for her. And then she kind of like, I think it's the moment where it's like, okay, she realized that Vic is just not the guy to like stay around after he learned about that, which is kind of sad. But honestly, she kind of did the right move, since if Vic's not going to be comfortable with it, then you know it's better to know now than later on when they would have established this a potential relationship. And Jesus Christ, how the fuck did I cut myself? Anyway, so we cut back to the manor, well, the Red Jack manor. Larry and Rita are heading back off to Niles, and they see the butterflies in these cases, and they figure like, oh, this is how Red Jack would turn his victims into butterflies. So these are all people. So they just break everything and just let all the butterflies go free, and hopefully start your new life as butterflies. How does that work? I don't know. Then they all get back home. Also, I forgot about Dorothy. Sweet Dorothy. She was trying to play hide and seek with her imaginary friends. And I'm pretty sure at some point they're in the hide and seek. She actually breaks... what was the name? I want to say his name is David. David, I believe that's the name. I forgot. The name of the street that she lived in for so long. And then she breaks it, and then she tells Niles about it. Niles initially is like playing the dad. It's like trying to say, it's fine, Dorothy, it's fine. It's gonna be okay. It's just a mistake. But in reality, like, he is very much, basically, in his mind, like, fuck. And we see that in Niles' head that, fuck, I am screwed. Like, this was like my last ditch effort to like kind of leave Dorothy away for a while if he wasn't unable to like find a solution for his immortality issue. And then he takes out a blueprint and starts building Robot Man 2.0. And then we cut back to, well, also we have a sweet scene between Larry and Rita where after everything they've been through, they kind of like hug each other as they're, you know, heading back off to their rooms, which is actually a pretty nice, sweet moment. Kind of just symbolizes that, yeah, these guys are real friends. These guys, they care about each other so much about over these many different decades of knowing each other. Like, yeah, these guys are real friends. And then meanwhile, we cut back to actual Cliff and also Jane back in the bus. I'm presumably heading back home. And Jane, while she's sleeping again, which I'm like, oh no, this isn't going to end well. She wakes up in a prison cell. Turns out her personas had locked her inside there to kind of like keep her away. So now the persona's going to run control of her body. So how will that turn out? I don't know. We got to find out next episode. Well, at least for me. It's already been out for a while, so can't wait to see that episode. But anyway, yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. I did. I didn't think the villain was particularly that interested, to be honest with you. But besides that, the character moments we saw here, seeing Vic go through another tribulation in his life, Niles being tested to his mental wits again, getting to see more of Rita, but the core here was Rita and Larry, and it was so sweet to see more of their friendship, to see more of like what they've been doing before the show started, and it was a really sweet moment, to say the least. I hope we get more moments like this in the future. But otherwise, I did enjoy this episode a lot. Just not the best villain choice in my opinion. I'm sorry. I mean, what are you gonna do? It's just a filler villain, a one-off. What can you do? I'm pretty sure he's a villain in the comics, so I'm sorry if I'm insulting the comics here. I really am. I'm being honest here. But 1.5 thumbs up for me. But anyway, yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know in the comments below. Did you guys like the episode? Did you agree with me? Do you think the villain was kind of like a little bit iffy? I'm always open to conversations in the comments below, guys. And I think that's going to do it for me. So if you're wondering where this was What's on the Tube from ActionX. If you want to see more What's on the Tube, or you want to do what we do overall What's on the Tube, we do DC Stargirl episode reviews each and every Friday after a brand new episode on Mondays on DC Universe, the streaming service, and also on Tuesday nights on the CW. We can catch it all for free on Wednesday on the CW.com and the CW app. We also do Perry Mason 8-episode reviews each and every Monday after a brand new episode on Sunday on HBO. But if you only care about Doom Patrol, we would normally do a Doom Patrol episode review each and every Saturday after a brand new episode on Thursday on both HBO Max and DC Universe, the streaming service, both of them. We'll be back next week with the next episode. Well, we'll be back this week. This week with episode 4 review. Then after that, episode 5, break, 6, 7, and then hopefully we'll be caught up, because I sort of got, like, I need to be caught up. Like, I need to be watching a new episode for once, because they really screwed me on. Like, they had we're doing 3 episodes on Thursday. I'm like, fuck. Then they're going to do, we're posting them for free on, like, the Monday before the premiere. It's like, fuck. Sorry, I'm acting like Cliff right now. I'm really sorry. It's just me being aggravated at the fact that, like, they kept changing my plans. But, it's fine. It's fine in the end of things. But with that being said, again, if you're wondering where this was What's in the Tube from ActionX, if you want to see more What's in the Tube, please subscribe to ActionX on YouTube for the next. Hold on. I skipped a little here. Or you can, and also ring the bell for notifications when the next Doom Patrol Season 2 episode review is live. Like, favorite, share if you want to, but it does really help us out in the long run, as well as follow us on social media to be up to date on new videos, any updates of sorts, all that good stuff. I'll see you on Fan Patrol next week, or next time for the next episode review, but until then, peace out.